say that again now that the video's going. So 13 can be done with the quotient rule or without. There are good reasons for both methods. I actually prefer the quotient rule method because I don't like negative exponents for the same reason I talked to Jake about, 2 more points, that they just cause trouble. So if I use the quotient rule, I don't have a negative exponent, I just fill out x to the 5th. So let's copy it over here. Okay, so first line, of course, is copy the problem down. Let's copy the rule from here. We brought it with us, so might as well make a copy of it. So there's the quotient rule. So now I'm going to take the derivative of both sides, so we get dy dx. To equal d over dx. Let's give away some more extra credit since we're fast approaching the end of the term. The more extra credit, the better. Please raise your hand and tell me. If I'm trying to get the quotient rule to fit, I have to pick. It's not meant to be a hard question. I just want you thinking with me. I have to pick a value for f and a value for g. Hands up. What's f and what's g in this case? You're just trying to make a visual match. If you're not raising your hand, all you're doing is saying, look, right here, I have to make this look like that green. Like this right here in red needs to be the exact same thing as what I see in green. And I can make that happen as long as I choose f and g appropriately. So Elizabeth, what do you got?
F is 3 and g.
Perfect. Hands up if you knew it. 4 points, 5 for Elizabeth. So f of x is simply 3. G of x is going to be x to the 5th. Questions so far coming to mind about anything? Zarin, please.
When we're showing our work, do we have to define both of those? Or do we have to write f of x equals 3 and g of x equals 6?
4 points, you do not. Okay. Yeah, this one, really good question. This is just me trying to make sure the video and the class discussion is a little easier to follow. So yeah. Anybody else? In fact, that's generally true, Zarin. The way I like you to do your work, because I think it's the best way to make sure the grader on the AP test can follow your work, is you go straight down the page, and if there's any scratch work to be done, just do it off to the side. So over here is my scratch work. The grader's not really going to look over here, so I don't really care that I'm super careful. So, okay. The rule says I'm to replace the red box. Now remember, it's the simple idea. The red box is exactly the same as the green box. They are perfectly equal as long as I choose f and g as we've shown. Therefore, according to the quotient rule, this blue box is exactly the same thing as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace, that didn't really work how I wanted, but whatever. I'm going to replace that red box with the blue box. So the next line says, we'll just say y prime equals. I'm supposed to take whatever g is. G is x to the 5th. I'm supposed to multiply that by f prime. F prime is exactly the same thing as d of f over dx. So d of f over dx is the same thing as f prime. Does anyone need me to give more detail about why that is true? That's just somebody chose to have those two symbols mean the same thing. So d of f of x over dx is the same thing as f prime. Okay, the very next step, please don't let me go on if this does not make sense. I'm just going to use the equals sign again. It says up here, f of x and 3 are the same thing. So instead of writing d of f, I'm I'm going to say d of f is the same thing as d of 3. And then there would be a dx on the bottom. So now this is the same as this, is the same as this. If that doesn't feel really good to you, wave at me so we can talk more about it. Cool. You all know this one. Please raise your hand without speaking. What's that equal to? Let's go, Logan.
0.
How many knew it? 4 points, 5 for Logan. Bonus Friday. So what I really have is g multiplied by f prime is just x to the 5th times 0. Okay? And back to Zaren's comment, 2 molar for Zaren. As I'm working the problem, I'm just doing this in my head. I'm not writing any of it down. Unless I am getting a little bit lost. So now I have minus. Now it says f. F is equal to 3. And now I have g prime. Same thing again. G prime is the same thing as d over dx of g. But g is the same thing as x to the 5th. So this is d of x to the 5th divided by dx. So that's what gets written here. D over x to the 5th divided by dx. And all of it is divided by g being squared. You need me to give more discussion there. Cool. A little note here for myself. Okay, next line is going to say, we're done with the quotient rules, so move that out of the way. Right pen. Come up here. Y prime is the same thing as y prime of x, so I'll just keep reminding you of the different symbols you might see on the AP test. Okay, this is cleaning up really fast. X to the 5th times 0 is just 0. Minus 3, parentheses. You should be able to do this one in your head now if you've done a couple of assignments. Hands up. What's that going to be? Show me hands. What's d of x to the 5th over dx? Let's go, Brindley.
Of x to the 4th.
There we go.
Yeah, sorry.
And there would be a dx dx. If you've done a couple of assignments, it's okay to stop writing that. If you haven't done the first 2 assignments, I would keep writing it so you don't lose the habit. How many knew it? 4 points, 5 for Brindley. Here's somewhere people have a lot of trouble. A lot of people have trouble trying to remember whether I'm supposed to take 5 plus 2 or I'm supposed to take 5 times 2. Be honest with me. How many have trouble remembering that? 5 times 2 versus 5 plus 2. Yeah, 4 points for being honest. Okay. Here's how you should remember it. Forget remembering a rule. Rules are hard to remember because they don't have any connection to anything. Just think about what it means. One person, I'll pay you. Raise your hand and tell me, what does it mean to square something? Hands. What does it mean to square something else?
Multiply by itself.
Stay with me. Multiply by itself. What does x to the 5th mean?
X times itself 5 times.
There you go. So all I have is this. X to the 5th times x to the 5th. I don't write this out because it's too hard. I got to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But that's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking of like, let's see, the rule is, let's see, multiply. I can't do that. It's too hard. Skip that. Just think about what it means. No one forgets what it means. Really, 15 years of teaching, every time I ask, what does it mean to square something? No one forgets. Whenever I ask, what does x to the 5th mean? No one forgets. When I say, are we supposed to multiply or add, half the room can't remember. So, sorry, I'm getting frustrated. Stop doing that. Just think about what it means. So what's this, Nelson?
That's x multiplying itself 10 times.
So x to the 10. Sorry, I got fired up there like Mr. Recti. Questions? Awesome. 5 points for Nelson. So the next line is going to say y prime equals. Racing the clock now a little bit. The top's just, hey look, don't combine the factors incorrectly. The 5 does not belong with the x to the 4. It doesn't. It's just 5 times x to the 4. So, might as well multiply the 5 by the 3 instead. So that's negative 15. X to the 4 divided by x to the 10th. That becomes y prime equals negative 15 over x to the 6th. Good job. So again, just so you don't get off track here, ideally you want to have the yellow completed before you start doing whatever classwork you do on Tuesday, even though you're not here. But I did give you a little extra time if you need to get into Canvas and get a grade and all that sort of thing. So please, Aaron.
So were we supposed to, was the pink packet due